From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline, Malacanang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacanang, and here are the news. Malacanang said it is open to reviewing suggestions to control minors' use of social media, citing findings tying higher teen pregnancy rates to online exposure. Communications Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro said lawmakers' suggestions to limit children's access to social media should be carefully considered. The Commission on Population and Development, or CPD, previously observed an increase in teenage pregnancy, particularly among girls aged 10 to 14, with social media exposure identified as a contributory cause. Castro underscored that the government is tackling the issue through ongoing sex education programs run by the Department of Health, or DOH, in accordance with existing laws and cultural values. She emphasized that teenage health treatments are available and accessible without parental agreement, with the exception of cases requiring treatment or prescription medication. The Palace is also working with the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, on other actions.
Nausap po natin ang DOH at sinabi naman po nila na mayroon po daw ngayon na isinasagawa mga sex education ng naaayon sa batas at naaayon sa ating kultura. At meron din po adolescent health services na maaaring puntahan ng ating mga kabataan. Hindi po kinakailangan ang permiso ng kanilang mga magulang, maliban lamang kung may mga treatment na gagawin or may ibibigay or gamot na irerekomenda. So, libre po ito at anytime pwede po silang kumonsulta. So, maliban po dyan, inaalam ko rin po ang maaaring gawin ng DSWD at ako'y nakikipag-ugnayan sa ngayon po sa DSWD. Magandang suggestion po yan, pero kailangan aralin po. Kailangan aralin dahil ang social media naman po ay may positive, may negative na effects sa atin. Kung ito po'y makakatulong sa ating mga kabataan, pag-aaralan po ito para kung ano man ang kanilang maibibigay na suwestyon ay maaari maipatupad.
Communications Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro.
Dateline, Malacanang.
Malacanang said the fate of individuals behind the spread of fake medical records of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. now rests with the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI. Vlogger Jason Argota, who allegedly circulated the fake medical records of President Marcos for social media engagement, appeared before the NBI in compliance with a subpoena issued against him. Communications Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro emphasized the need to enforce the law and hold offenders accountable. She said issuing an apology is not enough to make up for the violations committed. Castro said Argota can defend himself if he is not guilty.
Ang batas ay dapat ipatupad. Ang lumabag sa batas ay dapat managot. Hindi po kasi ginagawang biro ang pagko-content, lalo na kung makaka-apekto to, hindi lamang sa taong ginawa mong subject matter sa iyong content, kundi sa buong tao, sa buong mamamayan na maaari makapanood ng inyong mga fake news. So nilalabanan po natin ang fake news at hindi po dapat ito gagawin at pagkasabi ng sorry ay tapos na. So tignan na lamang po natin kung anong mangyayari po dyan at kung wala naman siyang kasalanan, ipagtanggol na lamang niya ang kanyang sarili. Ang nagsampa naman po ay ang NBI. Kung ano po ang nakikita nilang nilabag sa batas, dapat panagutin.
Apart from Argota, the NBI is also investigating other personalities allegedly involved in spreading the false medical information about President Marcos, including former broadcaster Jay Sonza. President Marcos previously took a short break from public engagements after being diagnosed with diverticulitis, an inflammation of small pouches in the colon. He has since returned to his regular schedule, participating in public events.
Dateline Malacanang.
Malacanang clarified that efforts to secure the return of former lawmaker Zaldico involve both diplomatic and law enforcement channels, following seemingly differing statements from key agencies. Communications Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro said the Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, and the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, have distinct but complementary roles in pursuing the former lawmaker tagged in the flood control anomalies. She explained that while the DFA handles state-to-state engagement, law enforcement agencies remain in charge of coordination with the International Criminal Police Organization, or Interpol. This follows Interior Secretary John Vic Remulla's earlier statement that the arrest of Ko is now in the hands of the DFA. Castro also read the DFA's official statement emphasizing a whole-of-government approach. The department said Remulla's view that the matter rests solely up to the DFA does not fully capture this whole-of-government approach, which requires joint action across concerned government agencies. The DFA reaffirmed its commitment to ensuring that Filipino nationals facing legal accountability return to the Philippines to undergo due process. It also urged the public to provide information on Ko's whereabouts. Castro said there is no new update on Ko's location. Authorities earlier sought international coordination mechanisms, including Interpol assistance, as part of efforts to locate and secure Ko's return.
Nakausap po natin mismo ang DILG at ang sinabi po nila ang ibig lamang daw pong ipahiwatig ni Secretary John Vic ay DFA ang maaaring makipag-usap state-to-state patungkol sa maaaring maitulong ng agaran ng nasabing bansa. Pero ang patungkol po sa operasyon sa Interpol ay nananatili po ito na trabaho po ng law enforcers natin. At mayroon pong mensahe ang DFA at aking pong babasahin. The Department of Foreign Affairs notes the recent statements by Department of the Interior and Local Government, Secretary John Vic Remulla, on efforts to secure the return of former lawmaker Zaldico to the Philippines. While the DFA values the DILG's collaboration, the DFA clarifies that Mr. Ko's arrest and repatriation involve coordinated law enforcement and judicial processes, particularly Interpol coordination. Secretary Remulla's view that the matter rests solely up to the DFA does not fully capture this whole-of-government approach, which requires joint action across concerned government agencies. The DFA reaffirms its commitment to the rule of law and ensuring that Filipino nationals facing legal accountability return to face due process. We urge the public to share any information on Mr. Ko's whereabouts to support these efforts. The DFA stands ready to provide diplomatic assistance within its mandate and in line with established protocols. End of quote.
Communications Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacanang.
Malacanang said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is wishing Vice President Sara Duterte good luck following her pronouncement regarding her presidential bid in 2028. Communications Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Attorney Claire Castro, however, said she could not tell whether President Marcos was sarcastic when he expressed his well wishes for Duterte. Earlier in the day, Duterte announced her plan to run for president in 2028 as she expressed dismay over President Marcos's alleged failure to fulfill his campaign promises. Duterte also slammed President Marcos's lack of sincerity as well as the president's alleged incompetence to lead the country and address pressing issues, including the rising commodity prices, ineffective healthcare system, and prevalence of crimes. She claimed that the 2025 national budget is also tainted with corruption. Castro, however, schooled Duterte, saying she should have been apologetic over her shortcomings as the country's second highest official and as a former secretary of the Department of Education or DepEd. She added that Duterte should instead apologize to the victims of extrajudicial killings or EJKs associated with the drug war launched by her father, former President Rodrigo Duterte. Duterte, Castro said, should also apologize for her previous death threat against President Marcos, as well as for spreading fake news to besmirch the current administration. Castro also said the president did not expect to be bad-mouthed and attacked by a former ally, but remains focused on performing his duties to improve Filipinos' lives. She expressed optimism that Filipino voters would be wise in choosing the country's next leader, urging them to be cautious and discerning. This as she warned that Duterte can be considered as a politician who thinks about the next election, who focuses on personal interests rather than the people.
Good luck. Nadinig niya po. At ang sabi niya po ay good luck. Yun lamang po. At nadinig niya po ang mga sinabi na pinagsisisihan at humihingi ng patawaran itong sa Vice Presidente. Okay, isa-isahin natin. Mas maganda po yan. Humingi siya ng kapatawaran dahil tinulungan niya sa pangangampanya. Tandaan po natin, ang taong bayan ang naghalal kay Pangulong Marcos Jr. Kung ano man po ang natulong niya, pareho naman po sila nagtulungan dahil ito ay unity team. Kaya wag niya pong solohin ang credit kung nanalo man ang Pangulo. At nakikita ngayon ng Pangulo, at rather ng mga kababayan natin, kung sino ba nagtatrabaho. Isang working president compared sa Vice Presidente. Pinag-uusapan po ba ang korupsyon, ang katiwalian? Siguro po dapat mauna muna na ihingi niya ng tawad kung ano man ang mga issue ng korupsyon at katiwalian at di umanong paglulustay ng confidential funds ng kanyang dalawang opisina at the time, OVP at ng DepEd. Kung meron pang napipintong impeachment, ito po ay dahil sa kanyang kagagawan mismo. Kung wala naman siyang ginawa na mga maanumalya at labag sa konstitusyon, hindi naman po siguro siya masasampahan ng mga impeachment complaints. Malamang hindi naman po alam ng Pangulo na ang kanya magiging presidente ay puro bakasyon. At mga Vice Presidente na puro bakasyon. Vice Presidente na hindi siya tutulungan. Vice Presidente na ang magiging trabaho ay manira sa gobyerno. Hindi naman niya pagsisisihan kung ano nangyari. Ang gagawin lamang po ng Pangulo ay magtrabaho. Kung hindi siya tutulungan ng kanyang Vice Presidente, wala naman po magagawa ang ating Pangulo, kundi magtrabaho na lamang para sa ating bayan. Wala po nararamdaman ng palasyo patungkol dyan. Depende na po sa tao kung paano nilang susuriin ang mga kandidato. Isipin po nila ang kandidato at magiging leader ay dapat na makabayan. Dapat interes ng bayan ang sinusulong. At maging cautious tayo, maging mapanuri kung isang Manchurian candidate ba ang maiboboto nyo.
Following Duterte's announcement, Senator Risa Hontiveros said the opposition would continue discussions on coalition building and present an alternative platform for the 2028 national elections. The senator added that preparations would focus on organizing, strengthening grassroots networks, and identifying leaders who can carry a reform-oriented agenda into 2028. Hontiveros had earlier expressed willingness to run for either president or vice president in 2028, subject to the consensus of the united opposition.
Dateline Malacanang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. encouraged Muslim Filipinos to use the holy month of Ramadan to enhance their faith and strengthen community cohesion as he joined them in commemorating the start of the sacred holiday. This message was made public by the National Commission on Muslim Filipinos, or NCMF. Ramadan, one of Islam's 5 pillars, is observed by fasting from sunrise to sunset, as well as prayer, thought, and charity. In the Philippines, it is reverently commemorated throughout the Bangsamoro Autonomous Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or BARM, and Muslim communities nationwide. The NCMF said that Ramadan in the Philippines will begin Thursday after no crescent moon was seen on Tuesday night. In his remarks, the president emphasized the spiritual discipline that is important to the month-long observance. He described Ramadan as a time for personal and community regeneration. The president used the Prophet Muhammad as an example, citing his contact with the Almighty through the revelations of the Holy Quran as key to the essence of Ramadan. He also promoted sacrifice and self-emptying as strategies to achieve spiritual fulfillment. He urged Muslims to use the sacred month to promote togetherness and shared responsibilities. President Marcos promised Muslim Filipinos his support and goodwill. Ramadan follows the Islamic lunar calendar and ends on Idil Fitr. One of Islam's two biggest holidays after Eid al-Adha, Feast of Sacrifice, is now a regular holiday per Republic Act 9177.
Dateline Malacanang.
We are temporarily interrupting our Dateline Malacanang news broadcast to give way to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. as he visits the city of San Jose del Monte, province of Bulacan, on the event Move Beyond for Service and Excellence, mass oath-taking ceremony for newly promoted teachers and school heads under the Career Expanded Progression or ECP for Bulacan and Pampanga cluster.
Mula sa Presidential Communications Office at Radyo Pilipinas, ito ang Presidential Live Event. Presidential Live Event.
Kwentuhan lang kami at sinabi ko napakatagal nilang masyadong nagantay at mabuti na lang kayong lahat. Para masyadong matagal na nagantay at buti na lang na buo namin itong programa na ito na suporta sa mga guro. Maraming salamat sa kalihim ng ating DepEd, Secretary Sani Angara. Nandito rin po ang dating Pangulo at ngayon ang 2nd District Representative, Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Ma'am. San Jose del Monte, Lone District Representative Arturo Robes. And the honorable members of the House of Representatives who are here this morning. Bulacan Provincial Governor Dan Fernando, who also deserves our congratulations dahil napakarami ang nabanggit niyang programa na isinasagawa dito sa kanilang lalawigan. Congratulations with that, Gov. San Jose del Monte City, Mayor Rida Robes and the other local government officials. At ang pinakamahalaga at ang pinaka-starring at pinaka-guest of honor dito sa ating samahan ngayong umaga na ito, ang mga bagong promote na teacher at saka school head under the Expanded Career Progression. Alam niyo po, sa mga talumpati na nauna dito, ay marami pong nagpapasalamat sa akin at pinapalakpakan ako. Ay nais kong sabihin sa kanila, maraming salamat sa inyong palakpak at sa inyong pagsasalamat. Ngunit ang tunay na dapat natin palakpakan at pasalamatan ay ang ating mga guro dahil sila, para sa akin, ang guro, ang pinaka-hardworking public servant ng atin sa buong pamahalaan. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Personal ko pong gusto kayong makasama sa inyong panunumpa ngayong araw dahil alam ko po na gaano kahalaga para sa inyo ito. This is the third oath-taking of teachers and school heads under the Expanded Career Progressive System. Nauna dun sa amin sa Ilocos Norte, tapos sa NCR. Ngayon, we are continuing to recognize the journey of the teachers in Bulacan and Pampanga who have shaped the future of our children and in that way are shaping the future of our nation. So today, as you take your oath, you reaffirm the belief that every Filipino child deserves a fair shot at a brighter tomorrow. Bawat lesson plan na ginawa ninyo, bawat karanasan sa silid-aralan na nililikha ninyo, bawat mabuting asal na itinuturo ninyo, doon unti-unting nabubuo ang kumpiyansa at pangarap ng ating mga estudyante. walang katumbas ang sakripisyo ng ating mga guro. Kumigising madaling araw, bumabiyahe ng malayo. Pagdating sa paaralan, buong araw kayong nakatutok sa mga bata. Pag uwi, magche-check pa kayo ng papel at maghahanda pa para sa susunod na araw. At kapag kailangan ng bayan, nariyan kayo sa presinto tuwing eleksyon, sa komunidad para sa census, sa anumang tungkulin, kailangan gampanan, nandyan ang ating mga guro. Talaga naman, ang serbisyo ninyo sa bayan, hindi lamang ay para sa bayan, hindi lamang sa paaralan. Sa loob ng matagal na panahon, meron sa inyo ang nawalan na ng pag-asa na mapopromote pa. Dahil sa dami ng responsibilidad sa paaralan, sa komunidad, sa pamilya, nawalan na kayo ng oras na makuha ang mga requirement para sa promotion o di kaya ay wala nang aakitan pa sa inyong organisasyon. Inakala ninyo marahil na magre-retire kayong hindi nakakatikim ng ma-promote. Hindi ako papayag na hindi masuklian ang inyong sakripisyo. Kaya gumagawa tayo ng mga hakbang upang marami pang guro ang tumaas ang posisyon at kagaya ng aking ipinangako, walang sino man na teacher ang magre-retire na teacher 1. I have always believed that the true measure of a nation's progress is the kind of future that we prepare for our youth. Policies and programs set the direction. But it is through you, our teachers, that these aspirations take root and grow. Kahit ilang laptop, artificial intelligence, o ano pang teknolohiya ang gamitin natin, wala pa ring papalit sa pagmamahal, sa malasakit, at sa alaga ng ating mga guro sa inyong mga estudyante. You are the ones who teach them the lessons for work and for life, how to care for others, how to be responsible, how to stand with integrity. These are the foundations of a strong society, and they are built day to day in your classrooms. In this age, many of our challenges require discipline, honesty, empathy, values first learned at home and strengthened in your classrooms through your example. Kaya tanyaan ninyo ako na taus-puso magpasalamat. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat, sa inyong dedikasyon at sa inyong malasakit. That is why our responsibility as a government is to stand beside you, making your profession more sustainable, more dignified, and more rewarding. Kagaya ng aking nasabi sa dati, prioridad natin ang edukasyon hanggang matapos ang administrasyong ito. At bilang patunay, naglaan tayo ng mahigit 1.34 trillion pesos para sa sektor ng edukasyon ngayong taon. Katumbas ito ng higit 4% ng ating buong ekonomiya ay nandyan para sa edukasyon, para suportahan ng guro, para tulungan at alalayan at alagaan ang ating mga kabataan. Alam din natin na sa sobrang dami ng inyong trabaho, minsan nakakalimutan na ninyo kumain o kaya naman lagi kayong puyat. Kadalasan, nawawalan na kayo ng panahon para tingnan ng lagay ng inyong kalusugan. Kaya inilunsad natin ang Yaman ng Kalusugan Program o yung Yakap Caravan. At sa programang ito, ang serbisyong medikal ay ang lalapit na sa inyo. May libreng, kasama po dyan ang libreng laboratory test, na mga urinalysis, blood work, konsultasyon, gamot, at pagsusuri ng inyong vital signs. Tiniyak din namin na naipamahagi ang Service Recognition Incentive para sa nakaraang taon. Nagdagdag din tayo ng 7.37 billion pesos para makatanggap ng benepisyo ang lahat ng kwalipikadong guro. Bukod pa rito, naibigay na rin ang 10,000 teaching allowance para sa school year 2025 at 2026. Pati na rin ang 7,000 pisong medical allowance simula noong 2025. Patuloy din natin pinalalawak ang oportunidad para sa promosyon ng mga guro sa pamamagitan ng pagbubukas ng mas maraming senior position. After all, when our teachers are supported, our students are better served, and our nation moves forward with greater confidence. As you assume a new position today, I hope you carry with you the faces of the students who look up to you, the parents who entrust their children to your care, and the communities that believe in the difference that you make in their lives every single day. Teach not only knowledge, but empathy, not only skills, but character. Because long after the lessons are over, what your students will remember most is how you made them believe in themselves. And that, more than anything else, is how a nation is truly transformed. Congratulations po sa inyong lahat. Maraming salamat at mabuhay ang ating mga guro. Mabuhay ang bagong Pilipinas.
You just listened to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the mass oath-taking ceremony for newly promoted teachers and school heads under the Career Expanded Progression for Bulacan and Pampanga cluster.
Dateline Malacanang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacanang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila. Dateline Malacanang.